this is Adriel, and this is Tanjo TV. Adriel, how are you?
Doing spectacular.
Doing spectacular. That's great to hear.
Yeah, comfy chair. I'm ready.
I know. I'm telling you, we've really upgraded from our old office. We're not in the dungeon anymore. So
yeah, this is serious. This is some IKEA quality. This is leather.
I really wonder if this is real leather or not. I can't tell.
It's better not to know.
It's better not to know.
Just imagine.
It's better not to know.
Yeah,
that's right. That's awesome. So Adriel, let's start with let's go back. With your history, like where did you get started? You went to college here. How did you find UNC? And then how did you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, so I'm from New York, from Long Island.
Nice.
And I've always loved travel. Always knew I wanted to go away for school.
Right.
So I didn't apply to anywhere in the Northeast.
Nice.
Just knew I was getting. For no particular reason, I knew I was going to be back in New York eventually.
Right.
So I wanted to leave for a little bit.
Nice.
So I knew I wanted to go to business school as well, because for a number of reasons, that's a separate segment. It's just a fascinating little world of business.
Sure is.
Like just a bunch of people hustling to
Definitely.
Create little things.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
That's cool.
So I applied to a bunch of schools, and then I was choosing between a couple business schools in the Southeast, and learned about the GLOW program at Keenan Flagler.
Nice.
Which is just like went into a meeting, and they're like, yeah, we have this little program thing we do where you go to Denmark for a semester and Hong Kong for a semester. The kids from those schools come here. I was like, that's awesome. So with zero knowledge of whether or not I would get in, fully determined that that's going to be the case, fully committed. And so ended up coming here.
Nice.
And then 2 years later, ended up getting into the GLOW program, which was
nice.
a thrill. Because I kind of put all my eggs in that little, that little Easter basket of fun. And then how I got here, I don't know, where am I?
Yeah. That's a great question. So where are you right now?
Where am I right now? I guess, so I graduated a bit over a year ago.
Right.
It's a weird question, because most people, I guess, would answer that with like where they work.
Right.
And that's a really cool answer because it's something most people spend a huge portion of their time doing. But I don't know, where am I right now? I'm trying to create a lot of things.
That's awesome.
Working on a lot of creative projects. I think people put off creativity for too long.
That's right.
And I'm afraid of doing so I force it into my daily schedule.
Gotcha.
I'm in a very fortunate position to have a free-flowing schedule.
Right.
Here we are at 10 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people are in offices. So I work on cool startup. I have other projects going, but really I'm trying to figure out, where am I? I'm trying to figure out how a young person can take control of their life a lot sooner than once they've been promoted 6 times and have a salary.
I see.
Is where I am.
So that's fascinating. So what is the ultimate goal? Do you have an ultimate, endpoint you're trying to reach, if that makes sense? Or are you in the process of trying to figure that out?
No, see, I'm in the process of trying to figure out if there is a reason to try to figure out if there's an ultimate goal.
Right.
Yeah, because an ultimate goal, is that a 5-year plan? So what, my goal ends at 27 years old?
Right.
10-year plan? Is it by 60 I want to have something? Or
Exactly.
I don't know if there's an ultimate goal. I think you have underlying philosophies.
Right.
For me, that is the importance of creativity, the importance of travel, the importance of placing value on friendships,
right,
and the importance of doing work that you love.
For sure.
And all those combine to tell me how I'm going to spend my day to day.
Gotcha.
And then you put enough todays together, and you get to tomorrow.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I really wanted to bring you in because we've had a lot of people who are, they've already made it, right? They're already pretty successful. Well, they are successful people here in North Carolina. And I want to get somebody that's a little bit closer to me, but you're still, you're a couple years older than I am, and you're kind of ahead of me in this journey. And I wanted to see, where you're at and what advice you give to, everyone else in our situation that has just graduated and, just kind of getting our feet underneath us.
Yeah, so for context, guys, I graduated about 15 months ago.
Nice.
So not by no means a veteran.
Right.
But I remember going into senior year, everyone was thinking about jobs.
Right.
And I came from Globe, and everyone's like top notch, right?
Exactly.
So my friends up
McKinsey.
right now, McKinsey, Goldman, Deloitte, like
Right.
EY, Bank of America, no
Yeah.
questions asked. Like everyone's getting those 6 figures.
Definitely.
Everyone's got a name tag that's
Exactly.
with dope letters. But I remember one of my friends, one of the smartest girls ever.
Right.
Anyone should die to hire her for anything. She made it to a couple final round interviews. She didn't get the jobs at the ones she wanted. And then the day before she was interviewing at the company she works at now, she comes up to me, she's like, man, hey, if I don't get this job, this is it. I'm like, what are you, like, what? There's only 9 companies in America?
Exactly.
Like, there's only this set of things that are acceptable for somebody college educated, with supportive parents, with a math book, like an access to the internet and WordPress and Microsoft Word. I don't know, you can do anything. There's only not going. So I kind of tossed that out the window, and it's hard because all of your friends are not going to do what you want to do.
That's right.
They're going to do what other people. They're not even going to do what they want to do.
Exactly.
They're going to do what other people say that they should want to do. So there's not, and when I talk to a bunch of college kids, I always put the caveat of like, there's more than nothing wrong with getting a great job at a great company. There's a lot right with it. Like, it probably is the right thing to do.
That's right.
But like, advice for somebody who's in college or about to graduate college is like, don't look at top 10 lists. Because those top 10 lists were not designed by you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, those top 10 lists were designed by other people. Like, that's their top 10 list.
It's very true.
So I'd say make your own top 10 list.
That's great.
Of which 9 things might be amazing salaried companies. And as long as you know with intentionality and determination that those are in your top 10 for good reasons, it's great. But 1 or 2 of those things might be not on anyone else's top 10 list.
It's great advice.
Yeah, and just the courage to like make that list confidently and honestly.
That's right.
And then decide if you want to follow one of those top 10s. That's the advice. Not to follow it necessarily. You need to be in a certain you got to have the character or the risk profile to be able to do those things. But there's a lot of options in the world, Will.
It sure is. It sure is.
A whole lot of options.
You know, I think that's something really great to hear, right? Because I think most people in your situation, it's you go to King Flagler and you go through Globe on top of that, and the drive is consulting or investment banking, and these are professions where there's a lot of social pressure to go do that, right? And you somehow escape that, right? It's interesting because a lot of business school students are really type A, and it seems like it's almost like the herd mentality. I don't know if you've ever heard about the study at Harvard where the MBAs, they always miss the last bubble, if that makes sense.
I don't know.
Have you ever heard? I'll have to send it to you. But so essentially, they looked at so in the '90s, in 2000 they wanted to go into tech. Okay, right when the tech bubble, right before it burst. They wanted to go into housing like 2007, and there's all these examples of this, and I'm butchering the study, but the point was that because there are a lot of people without a lot of direction who are incredibly social, they end up kind of like as a group going after these goals and always missing the last ball. Right?
Gotcha.
Which I think is really interesting, but it's something to be aware of, right? Like, and it seems like you're incredibly aware of that with what you were just talking about.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of stuff in the world.
There's a lot of other stuff to do.
Like, there's not 7 jobs.
Exactly, there's not 7 jobs.
There's a whole bunch of them.
There's a whole bunch of them.
And most of them aren't around yet.
That's right.
And like, who's gonna make them? You're
That's exactly right.
Wait for someone else to make them.
Or you just go out and
do it. Just go make them. I don't know.
Definitely. It's so true. So it's interesting. So I was reading another study last night. 20% of the men in our age group, so essentially 20 to 25, do not have a job. They live with their parents and they play video games, something like 50 hours a week.
be some good video games
There
out
must be
there.
some good video. There, it's pretty amazing. I'm telling you.
Yeah. People still playing Mario Kart?
I don't know. You know,
It's not the kids around these days.
It's not because you're doing it. That's right. That's right. But I guess my point is there's a lot of great jobs out there, but I'm afraid people are either missing them or not taking full advantage, if that makes sense. Like so of course. A lot of people think there's only the top tier, like 7 consulting firms, banking, right?
Big 4.
Exactly, or whatever. But there's plenty of other things you can do with your time that are just as valuable.
Yeah.
And I think even above that, so you got this idea that you can go work in consulting, you can go to law school, you can go to a good law school, or you can go through academia. Like that, those are pretty much the paths, or medical school.
Yeah.
So
it's hard because people judge you.
That's right.
Right? And people only judge what they've seen work before.
That's right.
And most people have not seen a blogger work before, even if that's what you really like to do.
That's right.
Most people have not seen, I don't know, fit in like a musician work before, right?
Right.
Most people know a dozen musicians, and you're not one of them.
Exactly.
If you're trying to be a musician, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
So like, people only judge on what they've seen before, but you have not seen anything before.
No.
Like, you will at 22 years old, you've only seen 22 years of Will.
That's right.
Like, I've only seen 22 years of Adriel. Like, I don't need to judge myself by things, by other things, because I haven't seen them, right? So like, when I don't know, a jobless 20 to 25-year-old male is like playing video games, they're looking at, I don't know, monster.com, if that's the website.
Exactly.
They're like looking at LinkedIn, cool. And they're like, well, so these are the companies I've heard of, and this is the job I want and need, and this is what my parents say is okay, and this is what, like, I'll be like proud of saying at a bar that I work at. Like, pride's got nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
Plenty of people got their pride and don't have something to be happy about.
That's right.
Like, they got pride at where they work, but not what they work on.
That's right.
So yeah, I think a lot of it is confidence, is honesty. A lot of people aren't honest with themselves.
That's right.
They're honest with or they lie to versions that are expected of themselves, and just it takes it does take a bit of courage.
It does.
Like, you're always going against the grain.
Yeah, you know, you really are. It seems like we live in an age where courage is in much shorter supply than intellect, if that makes sense. So there's plenty of smart people everywhere. You know, you see them all the time. You know, we went to Carolina. We know
everyone's
Tanjo.
super smart.
That's not the difference.
What I really like is, you know, how like you always hear those interviews with like Mark Cuban or whoever, and they're always like, I'm not the smartest person. Like, by no means am I the smartest person.
Exactly.
I'm just the hardest working, or the only one who felt like doing this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's scary to think about.
Very, very few people, like, who are at the top of whatever industry you feel like naming, have said in an interview, this one because I was the smartest.
Right.
Most people are like, I figured out how to hire the smartest people.
Exactly.
Or I just didn't feel like having a job. or whatever. So yeah, it takes something a lot, like, besides intellect.
That's right.
Like, intelligence is, plenty of people got that, but most people have a greater supply than you or I.
Exactly. This is very true.
Like, yeah.
So, you know, you can't worry about it.
Yeah. So you gotta learn to work with other people.
That's awesome.
And take those risks on your own.
That's right. So I want to segue a little bit. So you were also a philosophy major, is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, you know, how has that informed your life? Was it valuable? Was it not valuable? What did you think about that experience? Was Carolina's philosophy program, I think, is in top 3?
Yeah,
top
we
5?
had a good one.
Yeah, we lucked out.
Yeah. I loved it because I think it provided such a strong dissonance to the business major.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. Like, philosophy people hate business majors.
That's right.
And business people think philosophy majors are full of shit.
Exactly.
Which they are, and they do, and whatever. I think it was awesome just because the business school is very closed-minded in a lot of ways. It's a little castle on the hill in Chapel Hill. It's far away from
is a
campus.
castle on the hill.
It's the most beautiful building.
It sure is.
Like, one of the newest ones.
Yeah.
The most money poured into it. And everyone's like, I mean, we got, diverse backgrounds and, like, great, more black people and more women, exactly. I don't know, whatever. But like everyone's kind of the same personality-wise. And the philosophy department puts you in tete-a-tete with super smart people who just don't care at all about what you're doing in your little business major and your marketing classes, and they just want to take you down, and that is awesome.
That's really good.
That is awesome because like business people need to know that they're running a business for a lot of different kinds of people.
That's right.
Like your customers are not you. They're very, very different than you, and the philosophy department is very, very different than the business school. So that was one thing I really liked. The other is the very broad scope of philosophy discussion.
Interesting.
I am not very good at the macro.
Right.
In general, so like trends or discussing about like the investment environment and the triangle. I don't know. I'm good at the micro. Like right now, like you go meet somebody and you could be their friend and they'll give you money if you have a good idea. Right. Or like you're working in the tech bubble, well, have a better idea. I don't know, like work more lean, whatever. So I'm not gonna like understand the trend, but philosophy makes you do that because you're not just talking about the ethics of like this situation today. You need to expand that to a very, very far-reaching world universal view to prove your point. Because philosophy only works on the macro, although it's applied on the micro. So I liked it for that reason. I think it was really, really awesome. Definitely. It shifted my mindset in a place that doesn't work very well.
Cool.
And it was very discussion oriented, which the business school is not.
That's valuable.
It was very valuable. It was very difficult. Most people have a lot of difficulty discussing their point of view.
Right.
Most people who are good at discussing their point of view do not do it in a collaborative way. Right. So they will yell at you until you get their point of view. Yeah. Instead of discussing it, and then that is not going to fly in a philosophy.
No, not at all.
So, pros and cons.
That's great.
But it was fun.
That's cool. So, speaking of macro trends, I won't pick your brain too much about this, but the research triangle. Upward trend, downward trend, it's going to stay the same 15 years from now. What do you see?
Yeah, again, like, not great at finding trends. I think there's a lot of cool people here.
Right.
I think RTP is a super cool place and run by very intelligent people like Bob Jolis and that whole group. People are saying that there's less money here than there was a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
Maybe. I think there's always money for a good idea.
That's right. This is true.
People, I think people are gonna like move out of the valley kind of thing. Like there's more places than that place. I also have a thought that, so take it back a couple steps. When I decided not to get a real job, I broke my mother's heart. I started some food delivery company. She was like, "Don't you see how risky this is?" Right. And I was thinking about that, and I actually disagree because I think the risk is not standing out. The risk is being the not ugly duckling, because then when you're one of 8, right? So if you're one of the many people who gets a great job with a great salary and benefits and education, if you're one of the many people who do that. Right. How can you possibly stand out?
That's a good point.
But if you're one of the pick a small number and then hear people who like small. Don't do that, it's much easier to stand out because there's a lot less competition.
That's a great point.
So you only need to survive a small amount of time because you're competing against a small number of people in what really is a large but empty pool, you can stand out and your risk is lowered. Right. Same thing comes to terms with like San Francisco and the Valley and the rest of the world. If you want to make it in tech, you go to San Francisco. But why would you ever go to San Francisco to make it in tech? You're another 22-year-old punk who thinks they have ideas and
that's a great point.
Hustle and work ethic and whatever. You are never going to stand out.
That's a great point.
So coming to a place like the Triangle,
you can meet those decision makers.
You meet those decision makers, and they're going to sit down with you because there's many fewer of you.
Exactly.
And their email inbox is much more available.
That's right.
Than people in San Francisco. So when you want to compare it that way, yes, I think other places will open up for tech and entrepreneurship. And I think the Triangle has a lot of cool stuff going for it. The universities. Right. They're working a lot on infrastructure,
Right.
Which is very important. Building highways, expanding airports. RTP is going to build an entire like city in the park.
Wow.
For people to live in and stuff. And they have awesome visions there. So yeah, I think it'll get better.
Nice.
All places will get better.
Definitely.
But RTP will also be getting better.
Excellent. Good to hear. You know, I was reading last night in the Wall Street Journal, startup activities at the lowest level since 1960. And which is, it's weird to think about because, I mean, you and I were in this community. We see so much about entrepreneurship. There's always articles written, but in reality, there's actually less companies being formed than almost ever before.
Am I supposed to respond to that?
That's
awful.
I know, it's horrible, right? But it was the highlight, you know, like you're one of the very few people like doing this, which is even more surprising.
Although it doesn't feel that way. You know?
That's interesting.
Like, I'm sure the Wall Street Journal checked their facts. It feels like everyone's got a startup these days.
Right.
And like everyone's working at one, and everyone feels like it's a cool thing to do. And if they're not working at one today, their plan is to eventually start one or work at one.
That's right.
But yeah, that's a bummer. It just seems like it's so easy to start a company.
That's right.
Like, you started with a bad idea. Everyone's waiting for like a really great idea to strike it. Like, start with a really bad idea.
Let's go after it.
And then it'll turn into a decent idea.
Yeah.
And what's cool is that, so recently I've been involved in starting 2 companies. One is Morph and one is Roamer.
Nice.
Morph started off as a really bad idea.
Right.
Like a really bad idea. We were gonna basically be any restaurant delivery service. So like, Will is hungry, he goes online and orders from the pizza place, and we gotta deliver it, and so we were the whole process. But we were gonna be Uber in that part. So like, all the drivers can work on their own. Horrible idea. We started even worse. We were gonna be an app. We were gonna be an app where you only had 2 buttons. One was a plain pizza and one was a pepperoni pizza.
Oh wow.
And all you gotta do, like, you make an account, register, and all you gotta do is click it, and that's it. So no frills, super easy, and it gets delivered. Awful idea. Everyone hated it. Talked to like 50 restaurants, a bunch of coaches, a bunch of entrepreneurs. Everyone hated it. Now it's doing pretty well.
That's awesome.
Because it had to develop into a good idea.
Right.
Roamer is a really, really good idea.
That's awesome.
The idea of Roamer is like Airbnb for the outdoors. So how do I go reserve somebody's private pond, private property for hiking, fishing, camping? What if I want to have my bachelor party, I want to drink in the woods and not get a ticket at a state park? Right. What if my friends and I want to just like go hang out and play music loudly in the woods, but we don't want other people to walk by? What if
That's awesome.
I want to read my book by the best view in Vermont, which happens to be on private property? How do I get there? Mind-blowingly great idea. But since it started on such a good idea, we haven't been forced to make the idea work.
I see.
We've been forced to make it better.
That's interesting.
Which means we're prolonging, I guess, the cycle of repetition, the cycle of improvement, the development cycle.
Right.
Because we started up here. Morph, if we didn't get a lot better, a lot faster,
it's over.
It was over, right? Like, we failed immediately. So when you're talking about like starting companies, Roamer, the reason right now I'm focused on Roamer a million and one times more than I am focused on Morph is because it is a better idea, because I think it can get bigger. But if your goal is to run your own business or like start a company or for whatever reason, put it on your resume, have the freedom, make the money, whatever, start off with a really bad idea.
That's fascinating.
Because you're going to make it a lot better than you can with a good idea.
That's cool. That's great advice. So where did Morph end up eventually? So you started off, you get a pepperoni pizza, you get a cheese pizza.
Yes.
Which I think that's really interesting.
That was what's still in the back of my mind.
Right.
I think there's something there.
There's something like about the simplicity.
How do I choose if I want green peppers or red peppers? No, you don't have to. We're calling it pizza.
That's awesome.
PIZZ -H.
Pizza. That's awesome. That's cool. So where did it end up eventually? So where's it right now, I guess?
Yeah, so
what is the value prop?
So more started as that, talked to like 50 different restaurants, a bunch of people, iterate on the idea. I was a senior in school at the time, so like I was not in a rush. I knew I wasn't getting a real job, so like I had to make that work. Kind of put those constraints on myself. And then we started building this. It was basically a restaurant delivery service. So like I said, we got to deal with the customers ordering the food, the restaurants making the food, and the drivers delivering food.
Interesting.
Plus the whole back end, and the dispatchers.
Wow.
So we're gonna do that. I thought it was gonna be awesome. And we got 2 engineers out of Duke. They started making their plans for the layout, and then I got an email from Wes at Takeout Central, which was going to be our largest competitor because they literally did what we did. And he was like, "Hey man, really like the idea. Heard about it because I posted on some like Facebook computer science group that he's a part of. Heard about it. Would love for you to come in and chat."
Nice.
I was like, "Oh snap! Like he wants to put me down. He wants to tell me not to do it. He wants to scare me away. Like." Obviously, like, I'm his biggest competitor, like, I'm some young tech guy who he's afraid of, you know? Not gonna take the meeting, The last minute I was like, screw it, I'll just go, I'll sit there quietly, I'll take the meeting.
Yeah.
Took the meeting, didn't say more than 10 words. They misunderstood the business.
Yeah.
They thought that we were just providing drivers to anyone who needed drivers.
And
they ended up pitching me for an hour to become our customer, talking about how badly they needed drivers. They got the orders and they got the restaurant, but they didn't drive. I walked down there
that's awesome.
Man, like,
so cool.
This is great. Called my friend May, called him the engineers, like, all right, we're switching, absolutely swapping. Engineers spent the summer building an awesome Rails app, a web platform, a back end, an API to link to. It was super awesome, beautifully done, and it worked.
Wow.
Dude, the first time your app works is so cool.
Mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. It's like, somebody did an order.
That's awesome.
And it was all my like best friends doing the food delivery and myself when I could. But like, I was on the phone, like sometimes taking delivery orders, sometimes I'm talking to the engineer, seeing why something bugged and crashed and freaked out, and it's nerve-wracking and upsetting.
That's so cool. Works. That's so cool, man.
But then I started working more on Roamer, just because again I thought it was a bigger idea, I thought it was a better idea. And it's very difficult to, if you're not, maybe even if you are an engineer yourself, but if you're not an engineer like me, to manage technology unless you're doing that full time.
Definitely.
Super learnable to do if you are doing it full time. I did it, worked great. But hard to do if you're not fully committed to it.
Right.
So basically I turned off all the tech on Morph and turned it into an offline system. That now almost runs itself, like very low touch.
That's awesome.
Very low effort, and we are kind of like a temp agency for drivers.
Nice.
Still to Takeout Central, we just provide them with drivers on the shifts that they need it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a great story. You know, like how you kind of happened onto like the value prop that was
absolutely like just so. And I was like, shoot, so easy. But should have done that one. But it was awesome. Like lessons learned. I don't know. Take every meeting.
Yeah.
Like, don't think you're awesome because you're not. Like, no one's like trying to scare you away.
Exactly.
You know, from doing this idea. Like,
generally, people are pretty good.
People are pretty good, and like you're also not that hot. Like, no one's like scared of what you're gonna do to them. You know, like
unless you're Elon, nobody's.
Yeah, like no one's. If Elon's getting into the food delivery business, like whatever, you can have it. I don't know, like
go right ahead.
I'll go to space. We'll switch.
That's awesome. So this is a great segue into our next section. It's overrated or underrated. I'll throw out a term and just tell me if it's overrated or underrated and why.
Okay.
So the first one we've got is Tesla. Is Tesla overrated right now or underrated right now?
This is a funny section. Sure, I'd say. Underrated.
Underrated.
I'd say underrated because how cool is it that you can interconnect every moving thing on the planet? Because that's what it is, right? It's not cars and it's not just transportation.
Right.
It's a language that connects everything that moves people.
That's right.
And every single one of them is talking to each other. And why would a bus in LA want to talk to a car in Cleveland? I don't know. But like, maybe there's a storm coming. Maybe they're learning something about traffic in a similar sized city.
Definitely.
Maybe they finally figured out like how to move people better. and they want to like automatically update that from city to city. It's cool.
That is cool.
It's
It
cool.
really is.
People judge things too much on what they see today.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they're having some cash problems right now for the Model 3, but yeah, I mean, really, like, I think people, like, they don't realize, I mean, they're going to be first to autonomous cars just because they have a platform where they can actually test it.
Yeah.
Like, in the real world, with a lot of people out there who are really passionate about it.
Yeah, Google dropped out of autonomous cars, Apple dropped out of autonomous cars, Uber's getting super hype about it, but they're doing a lot of work with Google, and so they lost that big partner. But Uber did just buy, like, an enormous autonomous trucking company.
Really?
So they got that. Yeah, they put like $800 million or some kind of change. So they got that going for them. So they're also, you know, trying to get into that.
Right.
But I like where Tesla started more than I like how Uber started.
Definitely. Yeah, you know, Uber, like, Thomas, what's his name? Kraft chick. Kalnick, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Trevor.
Oh, God, now he's really going to kill me. I better be careful. Next time I get in the Uber, right? Like, but, yeah, you know, that business model, I mean, you know, I was at an Adams event. You might have been there in San Francisco. Maybe it was the first year of the Adams.
Yeah, I think so.
First San Francisco event. And we were sitting there talking to a guy who was, I won't say more, he was working at Goldman and, you know, smart guy. And he was like, yeah, don't tell anybody. But he's like, Uber's burning like $20 million a month, or it might be more than that, in China. Like
they dropped out of China.
100 million. I can't remember, but it was some huge number.
Yeah.
And they lost, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
But the amount of money they're getting, it's just it blows my mind. Like, you know, from all these private equity firms.
Yeah. Well, so that's another question. And maybe I'll just finish up this quick and we go to the next overrated, underrated.
Yeah.
2 points. One, business models that aren't business models don't work.
Yeah.
And you see this a lot in food delivery, like DoorDash, Caviar, Munchery, all of them got
right.
Postmates, all of them got crazy investment, many tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
And all they did was pay drivers exorbitant amounts. They were paying drivers like $25 an hour, which is not a business model. Drivers don't bring in $25 an hour.
Yeah.
But they just want to own the market. So Uber was trying to do that as well. And some places it worked really well, obviously. Some places didn't work as well. Tesla is trying to make a business model.
Yeah.
They're trying to do something really, really hard, and they're doing that in creative ways. They're doing like cutting out middlemen and making their own stores or whatever. So that's one. Business models need to be business models without cash coming in.
This is a great point.
2, there's a great book called Built to Last by Jim Collins, who wrote Built
to Last.
And one of the beautiful premises in Built to Last is that the greatest companies in history, the ones that have lasted over 100 years, they are built more than on their product and more than on their business models even, is they're built on philosophy.
Interesting.
They're built on values.
Right.
So let's say Tesla and Uber are doing the same exact thing. The way Uber's approaching it is, let's say, screw it to any like taxi commissions, screw the cities, screw the roads, we're gonna congest everything with Uber, screw a competition, like we're gonna mess with Lyft drivers. We're Uber, we're awesome.
Yeah.
The way Tesla's
approaching it. I mean, the name itself is Uber,
right? Yes,
like,
yes, absolutely. The way Tesla's approaching it is a very, sure, it's Musk and whatever, but it's not founder centric.
Right.
The name, right? Throwback to one of the greatest inventors ever. The philosophy is, how are we still burning fossil fuels with cars?
Right.
Like, how have we not moved on? How's America not produced a single successful car company since like GM or whatever?
Exactly.
Like it was a philosophy. It was a value. It was an idea.
Like a mission people can get.
It was a mission. So even if Model 3 doesn't work, and even if Model X stops selling, and even whatever, people are going to be focused on that mission.
That's a great point.
The day Uber runs out of money, people are going to stop caring about Uber.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So that's that.
Man, that's it's something a lot of people I think really miss nowadays.
Values matter.
They really do.
Yeah.
So this brings me to another question, and we'll get to the next word in a minute. But so Uber got shut out of Austin and Lyft, and Airbnb just got shut out of New York last week.
Oh really?
Yeah, they did.
That's a bummer.
You get a $5,000 fine if you rent out your room.
Which, depending on how much you're renting it out for, could be
You could work there, right? Like, but I guess my point is like, so there's a lot of, if you act like Uber, it sounds like, Airbnb really tries to be, work with the regulators and does their best.
They're value driven.
Yeah, but Uber, I mean, it's kind of like a middle finger to everybody, like, we're going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that can last, especially, I mean, it's bad enough when, you can be really kind and still the regulators can just chomp you down for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it's something, values are incredibly important.
Values are important. And they don't feel important when you're focusing on them.
That's right.
Right? Because, like, getting customers is important.
That's just how money.
And, like, raising money is important.
Yeah.
So values don't feel important.
That's right.
But they seem to be.
They sure do. They sure do. In the long run,
the data somehow says that they are.
That's right.
Because there's some people to get behind. Because they're eternal.
Right.
We're still reading Aristotle.
That's exactly
for a reason, because he put down things onto paper that transcend Aristotle.
Right.
That are about humanity.
Definitely.
And that's what a company mission statement is. It's not some like hooty tooty, like we're a bunch of hippies building things. It's something that transcends the individual.
Right.
It's something that transcends the product. 'Cause every product, no matter how good, is going to be defunct tomorrow.
That's right.
Like no product that is, in 5 years, what product are you using today that you had 5 years ago? You have a new computer, you have a new phone, you have a new car, your shirts are made out of new cloth, right? Like,
that's right.
So everything's fun, but a mission can be
right.
eternal and ubiquitous.
That's a good point.
So last forever, vertically,
right,
and transcend all people.
Nice. That's great. That's great. So our next one is Twitter. Is Twitter overrated or underrated right now?
Yeah, I hate social media, man.
That's interesting.
I do not like social media.
Wow.
I think people need to get their heads out of their butts and like smell flour
right.
or something.
Flour.
Like,
please.
so already I'm like, again, not necessarily the right person to ask. But so a couple things there. One, there's reasons I don't like social media. I think it's an avenue for people to, like philosophy. We said you're going head to head philosophy classes. This is just your head. No one can argue with you. They can post something and comment to your status. Like if you want a harangue and you want to talk about how awful this candidate is, or how like this is so unjust, or like bathroom laws, or I don't know, say whatever you want. Like no one can argue with you, and you feel like you're awesome.
Definitely.
And that is inflating personalities far beyond where they should be.
Sure
is one thing. Two, I think the content on there is sucking away from creativity. So I have this little blog that I just like do stuff for fun. My very first post was this graph, and man, what did I call it? It was awesome. But basically, the concept was before a long time ago, we all needed to be creators.
Interesting.
You need to entertain yourself. If you don't have an iPhone, you don't have Facebook, and you don't have a car to drive somewhere, you gotta look up at the sky, and you gotta find some pretty stuff in that cloud. You gotta have fun for like, I don't know, we probably die at 35.
Yeah, exactly.
But you gotta fill 35 years with fun.
Right.
Now as time moves on and we can share creativity, well, so the amount of creativity in the world is the same, but other people are able to put more creativity out there.
Right.
So the individual has to do less, but they can consume more.
Less responsibility.
Yeah, so social media did that. If you're browsing through Twitter and you're looking at cool people's articles and their memes and their stories and their inspirational posts and their cool like workout today because it's good for you tomorrow, picture, whatever. You are just consuming. And that's super important. You need to consume to be able to create.
Yeah.
But when I see people doing this,
like, dude,
like,
worrisome.
And oh man, the times that they do it.
Yeah.
If you're on the train and you're alone, like, I don't know, read a book, but fine, you're looking through Twitter.
Right.
When you're at dinner with somebody,
not cool.
When you are like hanging out, when you're watching a movie, pay attention to the movie.
Right.
Hundreds of people put in like incredible effort.
Right.
And you have the opportunity to breathe that in. And no, instead you're being distracted by like what your, I don't know, grasshopper Twitter account says about, I don't know, whatever. So that's a couple problems with Twitter. And they do a lot of cool stuff. So like,
right.
Well, so interesting. I don't know exactly what my thought on this is, but the third presidential debate the other night, immediately after, or no, throughout, they were saying like the top, because we were watching it on Twitter live stream, which is cool. And the concept is they have their pulse on what the world is thinking. Right. Because every time, a certain word is mentioned, they're like, wow, America thinks this right now. And that is awesome to know. Wow. That is so cool, right? But we had, and I said that, right? Because they were like, the top trending activities are women's rights, foreign affairs, and the military. Wow, like America right now at this moment cares about military. Right. But then my roommate pointed out, I was like, yeah, but those are all the Americans tweeting right now. Yeah, like exactly. None of whom I really respect.
Like, unfortunately.
Yeah, like none of my friends are tweeting right now. Like, it's all just random other people. Like my friends are watching and discussing and thinking. Exactly. So it's skewed data, as all data is. Right. So it's cool, but I'm gonna say overrated.
Overrated. That's good to hear.
Yeah. That said, so one of my favorite podcasts is the Stanford Entrepreneurial Thought Leader podcast.
Interesting.
And it's basically, sometimes it's just a speech given. Yeah, absolutely. And it started in 2005 or 7. And I listen to a lot of the recent ones. They're incredible. Right. And people just give an hour and a half long speech about what they do. Sometimes it's a Q&A session like this. But then I decided to go back to when they started. And I was like, wonder who they had. Some of their first people were Mark Zuckerberg.
No way.
Talking about Facebook immediately after they launched Facebook Photos.
Oh, wow.
And they were talking about how big putting your photos on the internet is going to be.
Oh, my God.
And it is cool to, in 2016, listen to 2007. Mark Zuckerberg was not 21 yet. He was still 20, I think. It was like 10 years ago. And because they made a joke about drinking. And so, yeah, cool to see that. And then they had Jack Dorsey. Right. And Jack Dorsey, who would go on to, he had not founded Twitter yet. This was 2 years before Twitter. He was currently working on the podcasting company called something or other. Overcast? No, he didn't do it. Maybe Overcast. He might know that. So he was working on that. But then he started talking. And he was like, what if there was a world in which you could follow certain people's ideas? Where you said, I respect that person, and I want to hear what they're thinking right now. Right. What if you could curate your content not based on what Wall Street Journal says you should read, but based on the people you love say you should read, or based on and he was talking about this world of Twitter 2 years before Twitter came out, and I was like, this is awesome.
That's so cool.
Who would be a part of it?
Seeing his head in that time, right? Like,
yeah, it was fantastic because I'm the only person in that entire room who knows Twitter's about to be founded.
Right, exactly.
Right? This is 2005 or 6 or 7, and like no one knows what's about to happen.
That's right.
So old content is great. At times, there's great ideas like Twitter that, I don't know, perhaps might not work out. Right. Perhaps I will. Jack Dorsey's a lot smarter than I am.
We'll see how it goes.
But he's also running Square at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's a problem. Just his attention is divided, right? Like,
right, Jobsian.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
It's tough, for Elon maybe you can do it, but he's like...
No, sure, I'm sure.
A special breed.
I'm sure Jack Dorsey can do it too. He's a lot smarter than, again, most people are smarter than us.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Gotta find those people. But it's another challenge.
Yeah, it really is.
To be running 2 public companies.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's awesome. It's great. Well, it's been a lot of fun having you today.
Yeah, is it over? Oh, I was having such a great time.
It is. Well, we can keep going. I can cut that out if you've got it. Oh. All right, I've run out of topics, but...
No, I was just having a nice time. We could wrap it up.
All right, sounds great. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
We gotta do it again.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, man. Cool. Yeah, that was a good time.
Super fun.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah.